Hello and welcome to the Wasteland Cooking Show. I am your mostly sane host, and 100% definitely not a cannibal, Chef Jeffrey D. Gourmand. Today's episode will bring us to the far corners of Appalachia. Our special of the day, fried deer skins. To gather our ingredients for this recipe, we will need to venture to the forest region, alongside the Ohio River to collect snaptail reeds. We're gonna need at least 2. Next, we'll head north to the Toxic Valley, one of my favorite places to winter. There, we will forage for some thistle. This recipe requires 2 sprigs of thistle. And what would fried deer skins be without some venison? Well, luckily, our rad stag overlords have immense herds all throughout Appalachia, and we might not need to go searching too hard to locate and fell one of these not-so-gentle beasts. They do all have 2 heads after all, and as obvious and somewhat suspicious as that is, some of us may have a rad stag just hanging around their camp. Now, many Wastelanders marinate their deer skins with myriad options. I've heard everything from the blood of their enemies to that weird-looking, pulsating stuff that calls them and beckons them from deep under the mines. In my travels as a young man, I even once met an odd fella who looked like viscera inserted into a computer disk drive. And he said he liked to marinate the rad stag in these peculiar vats of green goo he called FEV. I don't quite remember how I got there or how I got out, but I think that's why I'm missing a few fingers and have super strength on my entire right side. Look at me rambling. I haven't had my mentats yet today. Suffice to say, no matter what your favorite marinade, we will be using bourbon. Simple, regular bourbon for our deer skins. You can always find bourbon while visiting the Wayward over in Flatwoods. You can distill it yourself. I have found my bottle at a farmhouse I frequently visit, where the residents disappeared under mysterious circumstances when I arrived. Now that we have made our list of ingredients, let's set out to forage what we need to begin cooking. As we set off to the banks of the Ohio River in search of snaptail reeds, we found a few extra ingredients to store in the freezer back at camp. Chancing upon a friendly wasteland scavenger, we saw some Meyerlurk eggs and simply couldn't pass up on harvesting them. Cautiously approaching the eggs, there were clearly spawn wriggling from within. We knew chances were we may only get 1 or 2 successfully from the clutch. Taking Meyerlurk eggs can be risky indeed, and I don't think that scavenger liked us very much afterwards. But that's not my problem. That's his. Not too far around the bend, we located a healthy cluster of snaptail reeds growing on the bank. We wrapped them in an old Charleston Herald, placed them in Beckett's Nuka Cooler backpack, and headed north towards Grafton. The Toxic Valley region is filled with wonderful splendors and hidden dangers around every corner. As we pressed on and traveled northward, we were waylaid by some rad scorpions. Beckett may have gotten stung once or twice, but luckily for me, film crew labor laws and unions are a thing of the past. I simply threw some chems at him and told him to meet me up ahead, if he could, at Willard Corporate Housing. It's just been taking way too long to get this video out. I simply had no time for his lollygagging and complaining. Slightly frustrated, mildly muttering and laughing to myself, and shaking from low blood sugar, I finally found the thistle sprigs. One must be careful not to trample the thistle. Not only will it destroy the viable constituents, but it hurts, and you get those annoying little invisible splinters. Try untying your shoelaces with those little devils all stuck to them. Yikes. We have successfully gathered all of our ingredients for fried deer skins. Let us now head back to camp. I figure it may be time to check if Beckett is alive and well. As I stuff the thistle in my backpack, I see in the distance the sauntering silhouette of Beckett, limping on the horizon. So I figured I'd check on his well-being and maybe offer a stim pack I found. And we travel back to camp, Beckett in tow, muttering something I chose to ignore under his breath. Tonight's meal will be prepared and cooked at my main camp restaurant, the Meyer Pub. Located just south of Haven Church on I-65, the Meyer Pub normally specializes in seafood, but we make anything on a slow night, really. Now, safe back at camp, I task Beckett to go fire up the lights, click on the open signs, and hide the skeletons in the closet. Meanwhile, let's start prepping our ingredients. First, we need to strip down the snaptail reeds. What we are looking for is the pollen in the center of the fruit. It is the glucose from this pollen that can be refined to add sweetness and substance to the bourbon for the marinade. Next, we will pluck the thistle petals from the base of the flower, making sure to avoid the splintery stem and collect any seeds that fall out. These can be used for extra flavor. Now, we combine the thistle petals and seeds and simmer them with the snaptail pollen, extracting its sweetness while blending well with the umami of the thistle. Thirdly, we add the bourbon last as the roux simmers out, blending well and thickening in the fridge for an hour. After we've killed some time, we take the marinade out of the fridge and place our venison strips in evenly. We want to let them sit and blend well for the best taste. While we wait, let's fire up the grill and get our oil timed to start and get it to temperature. Thank goodness, I'm about to pass out with hunger. There's the timer, our deerskins properly marinated. Let's drop them in the oil, heated to the perfect temperature. We wait till the individual skins float to the top, then pluck them out with tongs and set them on a plate to cool. The fried deerskins are so lean, they help to keep you fit, energized, and full to brave the wasted frontier. Let's talk nutrition. This ain't no turkey jerky. Fried deerskins weigh in with a wholesome restoration of HP and a good bit of time for your AP to regenerate in those moments where your arms tire from ripping through a horde of feral ghouls with your chainsaw. This recipe is one for the intermediate chefs out there to whom cooking is a passionate hobby, and they're willing to go the extra mile to collect a few basic ingredients, but ones that require some patience as well as travel. My word, we certainly had an epic adventure today, and what a great audience you've been. We've braved the wasteland and successfully collected the ingredients for today's recipe. And although Beckett may have gotten maimed and poisoned by venom, and we both almost keeled over from hunger pangs and general exhaustion, we have filled our bellies, and I even let myself treat Beckett to a Rad Ant Lager for his dedication. Well, folks, it's been a remarkable time I've had with you today. And as the patrons start filing into the pub, it's time to bid you farewell for now. Thanks for watching, and we hope to dine with you again soon. Toodle-loo, all you beautiful, delicious Wastelanders.